Welcome to another edition of Lakerholics on Lakers Fast Break Weekend Spotlight. Some words that I'm supposed to say every time we do this that I always kind of blather on through. And at any rate, we're back. Joining me as always, well, usually as always, most of the time, Michael H. and Laker Tom Wong. I, of course, am not Joe Glassford, but Jamie Sweet. Let me change that here. So that nobody gets confused about reality any more than they already are. We don't want to add confusion to reality. Reality is confusing enough. All right. Hey, we're not talking about nothing this weekend for once, or, finally at long last again. There was a basketball game that didn't matter yesterday, but it was more important than none of the games that have been happening every day for the last few months. Some it's hard to put the correct amount of weight on training camp and preseason. None of it matters. It's not how it's going to be, especially the earlier you are in camp, especially with a new coach, and everybody kind of getting on the same page again for the first time. That's why I don't put too much weight on this game. Also, LeBron and AD didn't even play. So the starting five is not the actual starting five that we got to see. So I don't want to focus too much on the starting five today. I think I'd rather pick out some guys on the bench. And again, a lot of these guys that we saw playing last night, they're never gonna play for the Lakers. This is their chance to kind of maybe show that they deserve more of a role, even just in the G League, things of that nature. So bearing that in mind, we'll start with you. I don't know who's here first, so I'm just going to go from left to right, and I'll say what I thought about last night last. But what did you think? What did you think about the game? Did you see the game last night, Michael? Did you get a chance to watch it?
Yeah, I watched it. I was like you. I wasn't really focused on the starting group. We kind of know. I mean, the guys that are going to be part of the starting group.
Right.
We kind of know what we're going to get from them eventually. So I was more focused on some of the young guys, and Max Christie really impressed last night on both sides of the ball. I thought he played a really good game. And I was always for bringing him back. I always saw some good things from him. He might have got paid a little too much, but he's been paid. So what the hell?
It's too late. It's water under the bridge.
Yeah. So I thought he looked really solid. And I think he is going to be a good bench role guy. I think, he's maturing now, and he's starting to show some of the reasons why the front office was, impressed with him. I thought Connect was pretty good. He didn't get scorched too badly on defense, which is the biggest issue. He wasn't great.
Yeah. One thing, but yeah.
Yeah. And the last guy who has been getting a lot of love in training camp is Chapino. I thought he was solid. I thought he was decent. He wasn't. The thing about him, I kind of took a deep dive in it. And, he was a standout last year, but people tend to forget that he was injured before the season even started. He didn't get cleared to play until November 17th. Played a couple weeks, got hurt again, missed another couple of weeks. And then Jamie's going away, so I'll wait to finish my thought. Yeah. So he missed a couple more weeks in December, and then they sent him down to the G League. And he, 22 points a game, 5.5 assists on 43% from three. So, and then he got hurt again and missed the rest of the year. So really, he, for a rookie, I don't think he got a fair shake last year. He was just hurt too much. And so when I saw him play last night, he looks like he's not going to be in the rotation, I doubt, unless there's some big time injuries. But I was okay with him. I was okay with his game. And just one last thought before I turn it over to Tom. The Spurs are going to be kicking themselves for years for trading Dillingham. That guy looked good. You know,
He's good.
and they get a first round 31 pick and then a swap. That guy, you know, they don't have a point guard of the future. Well, there he was.
I mean, I think that's as much as who fits with Pop as much as anything. But yeah, I think you're right. I think that they will be like, well, we might have missed on that one. All right, so now we turn it over to the illustrious Laker Tom. Tom, I'm assuming you saw the game last night.
I did see the game last night. I was really had great anticipation of watching the game finally. Then I was immediately reminded of why I hate preseason games in any particular league. Paused it a couple of times, went over and finished the movie I was watching, waited till my wife went to bed before I finished watching it. So, you know, it was one of those acquired tastes. I pretty much agree with what both of you said. You know, I think two things were really apparent that have come out in my mind, which is that coaches really matter. They can make a huge difference. But then there are groups of players that, frankly, you know, if you don't have some players who can play, even the greatest coach is not going to make a difference. So it's, you know, we saw some young players who we could be counting on. I mean, Christie's penciled in as one of the 9 rotation players. So it was good to see him play well. It was good to see him get a couple of blocks. I thought the whole team played with good effort. Even though I watched the game probably in 4 or 5 segments, you know, the guys were trying hard. We still lack size. We still lack a shot blocker, which we've known for 2 years now, and that doesn't seem to bother anybody but us fans and Anthony Davis. I thought Connect, JJ's going to enjoy finding plays to get Connect shots. I think he's got a good shot at getting into rotation. It's just going to be challenging to figure out which 4 guys can continue to perform at both ends of the court. You know, and that's really our problem, that we don't have those proven guys. So it was good to see some effort. You know, I mean, Connect had a block and a steal, shot well from the field. Christie looked very good. You know, if he can really take a leap, it would be a huge big boost for the team. He's the guy that needs to take a leap, like, and then probably the other guy that needs to take a leap was Austin. He needs to, you know, elevate himself up to the next level. If those 2 guys can take a leap, then, you know, we could have a pretty good team. You know, it's funny, you know, we should be feeling horrible because of the team not really doing anything to add talent to the team other than, you know, through the draft and signing Koloko, who we don't even know if he's going to be able to play. So you look at the fact that we're bringing back the same team, and if anybody had said, you know, run them back, you know, most of us would probably think that there's some big holes that have got to be fixed at some point. And I sure don't want to have a 3rd straight season where we get off to a slow start and we're hoping like hell that we're going to get that help at the trade deadline, and we don't get that help at the trade deadline, and we end up, you know, in the play-in tournament again, or in some sort of scenario like that. That's not the kind of start I'd like to see to JJ's career. It's the kind of end to LeBron's career. And so, you know, there's a lot on the line for the Lakers. It does appear that they have committed to a long-term approach towards the game rather than a short-term approach. Even though skepticism tells me that that's partly Pelinka's excuse. I do think that is a smart thing for them to do. But I also don't think LeBron is trying to saddle the team with any situations like he had in Cleveland, you know, where he's leaving. He's retiring a Laker, and he doesn't want to disperse his retirement in that manner. So I'm still remain really optimistic about the team. It may be a lot of Pollyanna and the fact that I tend to prefer to look at the glass as half full rather than half empty. But you know, I think that I think that if we get good coaching, there are 9. I think that better health and better head coaching can turn this team into a contender. I think that the goal of having a top 10 offense and a top 10 defensive team is a reasonable goal. And if we do that, you're not going to be one of the favorites to win a championship, but you at least have a realistic puncher's chance to, if you can stay healthy and get the right draw. So I'm happy with the game. It's a good game.
I have to agree with your last thing you said, where I think top 10 in both those categories is a reasonable goal. I think to project us much higher than that, I think if we can be a top 10 in all the major categories, and I don't consider blocks or steals those categories. Blocks and steals are like the chrome trim on your Pinto. Like, you're still driving a Pinto. I don't care if you're a great blocks and steals team. If your overall defense is bad, it doesn't matter if you're near the top of the league in those two.
Yeah,
steals.
you can lead in those categories and not win.
That's what I mean. Yeah, those are not
isolated. Well, any stats isolated are difficult,
But specifically,
those be in context of
people point to those a lot for, like, oh, this guy's a good defender. I'm like, yeah, but look at the team defense. Like, it doesn't matter if you have one good defender. Like, you want the team to be a defensive team. So
yeah, but I'd rather have a guy that averages at least a block and a steal a game than a guy who averages 0.2 blocks and steals a game.
Well, I mean, that's
it's a measure of their activity.
Yeah, I mean,
and you see a lot of centers that have good block ratio, good block percentages, and good numbers there, but no steals, which basically says that they're hovering. They're playing a low post right by the rim, and they're going to get a few blocks like that, but they're not the kind of guy who has range to be able to be a great help defender, for example, and be able to affect a lot of plays the way that Anthony Davis does.
Another thing about last night's game too, that I knew that even before it was announced, I knew that Davis and LeBron wouldn't play, But what really kind of hurt us was that those two guys are big. Then
our two biggest guys.
Christian Wood is out for a while. He's big.
Vanderbilt's big.
And those two guys we're going to be counting on for rebounding. And we didn't have those either. So we basically, if you looked at the rotation, at least the first part, it was Jackson Hayes, and then it was sliding Rui over to center to guard Gobert.
We played 3 and 4 guards a lot.
Yeah. They had to. They had to because their big rotation is out right now. Didn't play. I mean, they weren't out. All 4 of them didn't play though. So that's 4 big.
We had a whole starting lineup sitting on the bench in close.
Yeah, basically. So yeah, the 4. Our 4 of our bigs in our rotation left us with Rui and Jackson as our only real true bigs left. So that was another issue. That's another reason why I didn't feel too bad about this game, was because it wasn't just LeBron and AD not playing. It was the other 2 guys as well. We had 2 bigs basically, and then we had to dip into the G League guys, So, I just wanted to see some of the rookies play or some of the young guys play well, and they did. So I was pretty satisfied.
Yeah. My thoughts on last night's game were I was glad to see Connect carry over the same impact that it looked like he had in summer league to camp, right? Like when it comes to rookies, you have 3 barometers that they have to pass before I personally start to put them into a place on the rotation. 1, what did you show me in summer league? You showed me a lot in summer league. Great. You're playing against other rookies, other guys who aren't really going to be in the NBA. You did great against them, as you should. Awesome. Second one, here we are, training camp. How are you doing in camp? Does the coach have bad things or good things to say about you? Are you showing up in the preseason games and not like trying to go off and show everybody that you're the second coming of so-and-so? Are you just playing within the role assigned to you? And I thought that he did. I thought that he was a great release valve on offense. I thought that he tried on defense. I don't think he did well on defense. I understand he had a block and a steal. A lot of guys had a block and a steal. I thought defensively there were actually quite a lot of issues, as could be expected when you don't have your best defender playing. And we didn't have our best defender playing. So I thought that the defense was going to be bad no matter what. And it was. We gave up 124 points. We never really seriously challenged to, I know we took the lead a little bit there in the third quarter when we went small and we're hitting threes and they were missing shots. But it doesn't matter really to me who wins or loses these games. I want to see how guys do and how they respond. Like, I thought we had a great response when we got down big in the first quarter. I thought we did a good job of just chipping away, staying in the game plan, not trying to hit a home run with every shot, just making the play in front of you and playing good basketball. What I didn't love last night were either Hachimura or Reeves. I thought they both looked off. And considering someone's got a lot of background noise somewhere, I'm going to see. Somebody having work done outside?
Yeah. It's good for Reeves.
No worries. I just wanted to just so I know. If it gets loud, I'll just mute you while somebody's talking. No big deal. I didn't love. I thought Reeves did a good job of getting to the line. I worry that is his focus too much again. I feel like he really is taking too much of a James Harden-esque approach to the game. And I would rather him just try to score. I'd rather him I don't want to see him like doing, weird contractions in the air as a guy brushes against him to like embellish a call. Like, none of that flies with me. None of it, I think, even has a place in the game. I think it's bad basketball. I think it builds bad habits that you're trying to fish for something that may or may not come your way when you could just attack strong. And if you attack strong, you'll get hit. You'll get to the line. It's gonna happen. And so that's the one thing with me that was a little bit worrisome. And Hachimura has just always been a little bit too passive. He's a little bit too Lamar Odom, and I want him to be a little bit more Caron Butler. You're never going to be a superstar. You're not going to be a superstar, but like, I need you to be aggressive. Don't play passively. And I thought he played a little too passively. Again, it's one game. It's preseason. It doesn't really matter. Those are my very nitpicky negatives. The positives I thought were overall the bench. I thought the bench, which was played far more minutes than the starters did, if you can even call them the starters. I thought the bench showed up pretty great. I thought, like as we said, Dalton Connect, made the shots that were in front of him, made the plays that were in front of him, didn't seem to play outside of himself much. I was glad to see Bronny James score a basket so that is now, done with. You got your
3 blocks too.
No, he had pretty good defense. He moved the ball. I don't know what his role is in the NBA yet. It's hard to tell.
G League.
Well, yeah, that's this season. It's definitely going to be. He's gonna. I mean, I won't be surprised if he gets like plays in like 5 or 6. Unless there's injuries, he should play in like 5 or 6 games. On back-to-backs when somebody maybe needs a rest, like Reeves or Vincent or whatever, and you just want to have that depth on the bench. Other than that,
a coach like Darvin Ham who falls in love with a particular player.
Well,
I think with 4 other guys who are really good, and Bronny has the type of character where he probably would thrive in a situation like that.
No, I don't know about that. I mean, I'm not gonna talk about the Darvin Ham subject. For me is closed and over with. But
no, I'm just talking about a coach that.
I get it.
He's got to have a champion. He's got to have a champion in a coach in order to get a shot. Because what he can do is probably very heavily influenced by intangibles.
He has to defend. He has to defend at a high level. Yeah. So if he wants to see any minutes at the NBA level, he has to defend at an above average level.
And there's good signs last night that he's got some potential in that area.
But even then, like, you can't play an undersized guy. Like, Vando gets away with it because he's big and he slots onto multiple positions. I don't see the same skill set or ability in Bronny because he is undersized. He's only 6'2", 6'1"?
6'1", I think.
Yeah, he's a little bit shorter than me. So that's saying something, like that's a tough road. So if you can't score at all, and it doesn't seem like he has much of an offensive bag yet, it's just hard for me to imagine him getting consistent minutes at the NBA level. I think he's going to be just fine in the G League, and he'll see spot minutes at the NBA level this season. Again, based on back-to-backs, based on injury and need and things like that. That's it. That's the role I see for him, and that's really all I.
Whatever road he's going to have, it's not going to be the type of road that number one pick has coming into the league, where you immediately get opportunities and so forth.
He's traveling a very unique
path. To grind it through. He's going to have to grind it through 3, 4, 5, 6 years of finally getting better every year, and and being a really tough defender and something that people can count on.
What I feel bad about for Bronny is that he gets the attention like he was a number one pick.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was going to say. He's traveling a very unique.
I mean, he's to the kid's credit. It's been like that since he was a kid.
I loved on the media day on ESPN, not the Laker one, the ESPN one, where somebody was like, "Are you going to be carpooling with your dad?" And he's like,
"Yeah,
no,
I do.
I want to be as far away from that guy. I'm already tied together with that guy."
Well, I like too that LeBron said, "There's no calling me dad on the court."
Thought that was really funny. Yeah. So anyway, I don't want to harp on one guy. It's not about one guy. The training camp is not about one guy. To make it about one guy is ridiculous. So we're not.
I did love the story though about Bronny hitting a 3 over his dad, and then his dad bullying some guy down at the other end of the court.
Whatever. Those are practice stories, and they don't. I mean, yes, it's cute, right? It's whatever. It's cute. I get it. But like for me, I don't really care. I really don't. Like I'm like, oh, that's so cute. You did some things off the court that don't matter.
Hope it remains cute.
It's cute. No, I'm not going to disagree. It's super cute, right? Like, oh, you guys are having a fun father-dad thing. That's great. As a dad, I would appreciate that, But as a Laker fan, I don't really care. I really just don't. I don't.
Especially for a guy that really isn't going to matter this year.
That's what I'm saying. Like, listen, everybody who puts on a Laker or South Bay Laker uniform, I am pulling for them to find a way to impact winning, whatever that looks like, right? Whatever it looks like. If you're making shots, if you're making great defense, if you're the best towel waver on the bench, whatever it is, if you can impact winning in a positive way as a Laker at any level, then I'm pulling for you. But I'm not going to overburden you with expectations that just don't make sense. And I think all three of us have pretty realistic expectations for Bronny James, which is to say, you go guy, try your best, soak up everything like a sponge that you can, and just show up to work. Show up to work, put the work in. Good. The best things will happen to you as a result of that. Nothing good will come.
I think his best attribute is his attitude.
Yeah, I was going to say his
wants to
humility.
Be coached. He wants to get better.
I feel like there's a level of NBA humility there that is appropriate, and I think he's got a great sense of humor, and that is going to serve him well in terms of like his relations with the media, right? As Magic Johnson showed, if you are congenial and friendly with the media, even if obviously he was a Nova superstar talent, but like it makes up for a lot. It smooths over a lot if you can be cool with the media. Like just make them laugh. Don't treat them like, how Russell Westbrook treats the media. You can see the difference in like how a guy like Russ who like shows up to the media room almost ready to punch somebody out because they're going to question something he did on the court. Like that's their job. That it's part of everybody's job here. Like this is the part of work that you have to finish before you clock out. Nobody likes to wash dishes in the kitchen. Everybody has part of their job that they don't want to do. It's why they call it work, right? So just show up to work, do the job from beginning to end. Good things will come of that. Okay.
You have to respect Bronny for and give credit to LeBron and Savannah for the fact that the kid
always, despite
being a billionaire superstar's son, is pretty level-headed,
Sean, this is a great topic.
Pressure and response to it in a intelligent and savvy way. So I'm rooting for him. Yeah.
Okay. So one more thing I wanted to bring up, and we do have to keep it to a pretty tight 1 hour show here. Just got a lot to do today. I thought Gabe Vincent looked great.
Yeah.
I thought Gabe Vincent looked great. That was another one of those guys who was the what if story of last season.
He got through the game without an injury too.
Everybody got that's really
that's 10. It's almost 10% of what he played last year on one night. He did.
Yep. No, you're right. At least in terms of the regular season, he was played in every playoff game, but it didn't matter. He just looked like not Gabe Vincent himself. He made a three. He looked like the Gabe Vincent I had hoped we were going to get last year, and so
you look like he'd be a hell of a backup point guard.
that's all you want him to be, right? And that's what we need him to be. And
That's what we need him to be.
Yeah. And so one of the things that I thought, I mean, I agree with Michael that I thought Jalen Hood-Schifino had a nice bounce back game. I think that the best case scenario for the Lakers,
his trade value. Good for his trade.
I don't know if we're going to trade Jalen Hood-Schifino this season. I mean, he might, because if a great trade presents
itself, throw in, it's going to be added to.
No, I understand. I understand, just to make the money work. I understand what you're getting at. I'm just saying that let's not get into trades right now.
He's a first round pick.
I can't even get it. No, Tom, we're not getting into trades right now because it's just now training camp. Nobody's getting traded for like 2 months. We're putting it on the back burner. I'm not talking trades. You can talk trades on Twitter. You can talk trades for everyone. I'm not talking trades today. It doesn't make sense. It's not happening. We're moving on. Or I'm moving on. If you want to talk trades while you're talking, that's fine. I'm not going to talk about trades. I'm going to talk about how I thought that the best case scenario, because the only starter who I thought showed up great was D'Lo. D'Lo looked great last night. He looked engaged. I loved everything he did on media day. I loved the exchange with James Worthy. I don't know if you watched the Spectrum Sportsnet interviews. I watched both the ESPN and the Spectrum ones for the most part. And the cool thing, there was a great exchange between James and, because everywhere D'Lo went, he did his apology to the media about not being. And James Worthy said, "Man, you don't have to apologize for anything. You have nothing to apologize for. You were a young person who was put into a position that very few people are put into. You learned some lessons along the way. I can't think of another person who hasn't had that experience." James Worthy put it into a perspective that I thought was really fair, and not oh, you're fine, you're not doing anything wrong, but was acknowledge that it's a unique prospect to be an 18-year-old.
Hard growing up, man.
Well, it's a tough road to grow up, right? And you're not done growing at 18, 19, 20, 21, 24, 28, 32. You're not done growing ever. You're growing always. You're learning lessons. And so I thought that was a great, and D'Lo took that whole exchange, I thought, really well too. He's like, "I appreciate you for that. That means a lot." And the other thing that D'Lo said that I thought was telling, he didn't feel like he'd ever had a coach. I would say probably he maybe left Kenny Atkinson off the list, because I thought Kenny Atkinson was a coach that really empowered the best version of D'Lo we'd ever seen. But he said, for coach to come in and be like, "I want you to have the best year you've ever had on this team right now." I thought that was the best. That's the way to get to D'Lo, right? Is to try to pave the road for success for him in advance, and not make him feel like he's paving it all on his own. And he responded to having a great game in training camp. He was the best starter by far. Reeves got to the line 10 times, I think made 11 or all 10. I can't remember. But other than that, he was the only one that made a shot consistently, and he looked great both with the bench guys and the starters. And he looked like the D'Lo that you want to see. Probably they missed a couple of foul calls on his drives to the basket. But in general, I thought that D'Angelo Russell was probably the best player for us last night. Connect being right below him. And the best thing for the Laker point guard situation would be for D'Lo and Vincent to handle the majority of the minutes. I would consider giving Vincent back-to-backs off and putting Jalen Hood-Schifino in, telling him right from the get-go, "Gabe, you're just not going to play him back-to-backs. We need you for the playoffs. We need you healthy. We want to showcase Jalen Hood-Schifino a little bit more anyway. We're going to give him the second night of back-to-backs and just make that something that everybody can count on." Do you know what I mean? So that he understands that you better be ready for these games.
I agree 100% with you. And what I find a little perplexing is JJ's 9-man rotation for the regular season when you got a 40-year-old LeBron James.
I think he's crazy. That's one of those things. Every coach has a great line.
I was glad to hear him say that he that wasn't ironclad, that he would rethink that.
Thank you. Yes.
It needs to be 10. It needs to be 10.
Yeah. Well, it might even be 11. It just depends if you've got 11 guys who can contribute. I think that's the key. I don't mind if we have to do a 9-man rotation. It'll be because the 10th and 11th guys can't contribute. That's what I really believe is going to happen. Because if we have 11 guys who contribute, we need to rest AD and LeBron as much as we can during the regular season, and we need to give other guys breathers during the regular season, especially injury-prone guys like Gabe and Bando. So there's a whole load management thing that maybe JJ's not really thinking of in his wanting to get off to a juggernaut start to the season. I do like the fact that he really announced the starting lineup way ahead of time. So those guys can really be confident. And here's an interesting stat that the offensive rating for that team when it was on the court was 116, which is just pretty mediocre, like 17th, 18th. The defensive rating was 110, which would rank second best in the league.
I saw you posted that the other day.
And the net rating of 5.5 is fourth best in the league. So what's really kind of strange there is that everybody looks at those five guys and thinks because of Reeves and Russell that they can't be good defensively, and yet they were better defensively than they were offensively, to be honest. Now,
the funny thing about the offensive rating that drives me crazy, though, 116 offensive rating, right? Yeah, okay, that's mediocre. But we were sixth in points scored. What's more important, the rating or how many points you score? I think it's points.
A lot of it is how you score the points, though, because
doesn't matter. They were sixth in the league in points scored.
Right.
That's it.
But they were forced to really have to win the free throw line every game and win the points in the paint every game to make up for their 3-point differential. JJ wants to change that, and if he can get the Lakers to be, let's say, instead of being, we were like the 8th best percentage from 3-point land. So it's not like our guys can't shoot the shots. It's just that we need to run an offense that focuses on getting those shots open and also focus on getting the shots for the players who are the best 3-point shooters on the team.
Well, the thing for me,
including LeBron James,
on the three-point shooting, we need to shoot more threes, but we don't need to be a top 10 in takes. If we're middle of the road,
Well, we're 29th now. If we're 15th, we'll be a lot better.
Which would be a significant improvement over last season. If we
and you can't jump. You can't jump from 29 to second.
Well, the other thing about it though is our best players are best when they're in the paint. AD is a monster in the paint. Right. LeBron hit a lot of threes last year, and I look for him to take even more.
But it's again,
let's face it, he's a monster inside.
Right.
So you're not going to take as many 3-point shots as some of these other teams that don't have that interior scoring ability.
No, but you need to take enough. So
you need to take.
You need to make enough so that you got spacing.
Yeah, I just said that. I said we needed to bump that up from
it's the old chicken or egg thing. The old school game is that the inside creates the outside shots. Inside play creates outside shots.
Well,
the new school thought is the outside shots create the room, so you get those inside shots.
Well, this is an interesting discussion. So let's base it on reality for a second here. Let's look at. I'm looking at the team stats from last night's game, right? And again, one game. We're not putting a lot of pressure on this one game. The field goals attempted by the Minnesota Timberwolves, they made 47 out of 94, good for 50% straight up. The Lakers shot far fewer field goals, 38 to 79, so they gave up 15 extra attempts. Right. That was because we had a ton of turnovers. Every starter had 2 turnovers. Every single starter had 2 turnovers. That's a problem. And Dalton Connect had 5 turnovers. I thought that was the one. That's why. So I couldn't give him a great game. I was like, he had a good game. But we made 48% of our shots, 10 of 30, and we gave up 37 threes. They shot 37 threes. We took 32. So we were 10 of 32. They were 15 of 37. And then the free throws, they shot free throws.
Right there, though.
They shot more free throws than we did, 26, but only made 15. We shot a lot more free throws than they did, or we made a lot more free throws than we did. They did rather 21 to 23, 93%. They out rebounded us by 3. They had 5 more offensive rebounds. Ball moving about the same. They had more steals. We had more blocks. We had 21 turnovers. They had 16, and that's why that's the discrepancy in the shot attempts right there, and the offensive rebounding issue. So these are the same issues. These are exact same reasons we lost games last season.
Well, because we didn't have bigs. We didn't have
anybody who could rebound. I disagree with that. Russell Westbrook averaged 10 rebounds a game. You can rebound. Just because you don't have a big doesn't mean you can't rebound. That's a lazy reason.
Yeah, but guys who don't rebound don't suddenly start rebounding.
We have players who choose not to rebound, and we have coaches who don't force them to do so with playing time.
Right.
Now, again, I'm not pointing that was last season more than this season. We're one training camp game in. And
these damn injuries though are so frustrating because
but that's again, that's going to be every team, Tom. Every team's going to have this. It's not like a Laker problem, right? So like I don't accept those as excuses. These are reasons.
The problem, it becomes a Lakers problem when it's the same effing guys that can't get on the court.
Well, I mean, we'll see, right? Like I think that they're keeping Wood and Vanderbilt out until they've cleared all their hurdles, right? That's everything I've heard on media day. Everything I've heard is that they probably, I'm sure if it was the playoffs, they could play, right? At a limited capacity. That's not the point I'm making, though. The point I'm making is that we need to see better rebounding from Hachimura. We need to see Reeves try to get in there for some rebounds more than he seems like he wants to. And we need to see, guys like the guys in the G League, and this is my complaint last year during training camp, the guys who should be hungry to prove that they're better than they're assumed to be need to go out and do that. That I understand that you're up against perception. I understand that you may be up against
whom are you talking about?
Pretty much everybody on the bench. Pretty much everybody who's going to be in the G League and on the bench.
Yeah.
If you're not like
the guys who could make a leap this year let's put
it this way. In 21 minutes.
Talking about rebounding, I was just checking the stats because I thought he did a pretty good job. Max had 7 boards.
Max Christie was probably our best rebounder last night, and that's what I'm talking about. You don't need to be.
He's our biggest shot at somebody breaking low.
But he also played. He also led the team in minutes. He played the most minutes by far. He played more minutes than anybody else by a country mile. He played 34. Nobody else cracked 30. So he got and he won't play 34 minutes in a real NBA, or he probably shouldn't be playing 34 minutes in a real NBA game.
As a backup shooting guard.
That's what I'm saying. So as our problem, he's probably our backup shooting guard, right? Let's just assume that that's his role. And so, I'm looking at more like 18 to 20 minutes a game, right? 15 to 20 minutes a game, somewhere in that range. And if that's the case, I don't think he has that same impact. But my point is that he showed me the right level of aggression on that end. That I want to see our guards, I want to see our small forwards do a better job at rebounding the basketball. And I just don't know if these guys have it in them, right? And this is what you're saying, Tom, that we maybe lack the personnel. We maybe lack the players who with the right mentality to be the type of players that we need. And that's what trades are for, right? And so we'll see who we end up with at the end of the season versus who we have here at the beginning.
Well, there are players on the team whose performances can dramatically change what we end up doing at the trade deadline. For example, the two things that we need most.
You just can't help yourself from talking. You just can't help yourself talking about trades, can you? You just can't.
I'm not talking about trades now. If you would shut up and listen, I'm talking about why we might not need a trade.
Oh, whoa.
So there's the two things that this team is lacking, in my opinion, are a legitimate alpha point of attack perimeter guard and a backup / starting center who can protect the rim and play next to Anthony Davis. Now, Christie theoretically is a guy who can become a two-way player. And if he can continue to play defense the way that I saw him play last night, that's a huge sign for the Lakers because he's definitely able to do things. He definitely has the athleticism to be a defender that makes it so much easier than a guy like Reeves or a guy like Russell, who basically primary skills are really honed toward their ability to be deceptive on offense, and there's a raw athleticism to Christie, and he's still only 21 years old,
he's got a lot
and he can shoot the ball. So, I think that he could theoretically make it so that the Lakers don't go out and do what I think they should do is go after a Marcus Smart or a proven guy who can plug a hole like the way the Celtics did with Holiday. Right. And then secondly, I love this guy Koloko. He was one of the guys that I thought the Lakers should be looking at when they were in the draft. And he was playing for the Raptors. His performance for the Raptors is exactly what is perfect for the Lakers right at this point as a backup to Anthony Davis, because we need somebody who can protect the rim on defense. And if we want to have a championship team and make a top 10 defense, they're going to need to fill that hole. And if they could fill that hole with somebody young and talented who's on a easy contract, whom you can invest and develop for the future, that is much better in my mind than trading for Valanciunas and a bunch of guys who you're going to pay $10 to $20 million for per year, who basically are going to shoot in the low 30s as far as 3-point shots, aren't going to really do anything maybe other than maybe have 1.2 blocks and steals per game, and they'll just be another big body to throw, another big veteran body who will last a couple of years that you can throw against Jokic and other big centers that you run into. If we can fill those spots with young players whom we can develop and grow, that fits the model that the Lakers seem to be committed to at this point in time. And the key to that whole thing, obviously, is JJ Redick making the thing work so that players are successful and the team is winning, so that you don't have the pressure to tear things up and make short-term moves, and so that you can build for the long term. He's the vision that Jeannie and Rob don't have.
That is the well, I don't know about that. That is the most untrade Tom version of yourself I think I've ever heard.
I'm rooting for that all the time, Jamie.
Well, okay. Well, you don't.
I want to do.
You don't say that all the time. So sometimes.
But when you tell me that will you tell me that Castleton is going to be able to be a role player in the NBA?
No,
I don't believe it.
I don't believe it
because I can't see it.
No, I can't see this.
I don't know about there are tons of 20 point per game scorers in the G League, man, who are never going to breathe a rotation role in a championship team. So if we can have a gem and in Max Christie come along and we can have him become a success for us the way that Austin Reeves has, that's great.
The way I look at it is that we've got. I think Austin can take another step.
I agree.
I think Rui can take another step. And by the way, Rui had 6 boards.
That I'm not for sure of.
Yeah, he had 6 boards in 22 minutes last night. Yeah. That's a 10-board game for starter minutes. So he was on the boards.
He just disappears. I guess I never understood that, man, because I don't know how you disappear in a game.
Well, he didn't disappear down the stretch last year, so it was one game.
It was one game.
So I think he has another step in him. I think,
but it seems to be a lot longer shot to me.
I think Max has more than a step in him. I think he has a leap in him. So I mean, we got these younger guys that they're all going to be better this year. It depends upon the degree of improvement, but they're all going to be better than they were last year.
Continuity is really going to pay off.
That's going to be a thing. And the other thing about it is, I feel a little more comfortable with JJ as a coach, simply because the team appears thrilled to have him. They've all bought into him, and that's the key for a successful coach, is the communication and getting the team buy-in. I think what happened with Darvin was he lost the locker room. Yeah. And that's death for a coach. Once you lose the locker room, you're gone.
And then when you lose LeBron,
I can't recall a new coach coming in, and we've had plenty since Phil that seem to have the players this height. They all are raving about the guy. So that,
especially when some of them played with him on teams.
So that for me that's a good sign. Now we got to wait to see if he can actually coach, but he's got the communication part down, and that's the big thing. So
I will say this: I've been let's just say I've been lukewarm on the Redick hiring, which I think is fair. I thought that he did what I expected in terms. I think that we're going to see kind of like a hockey shift. We're going to see a lot of the guys who didn't play at all last night get a significant run on Sunday. Koloko is going to play. Hayes might not.
He's not been approved yet, has he? I don't think he's been approved.
Yeah, you're right. He's still waiting for that blood clot.
Waiting for the league to say that.
Yeah, I think he's waiting.
Their doctors have okayed him. That's
you're
why
right.
the
league has to greenlight him, and I'm not sure that's going to happen.
He can't even practice until then.
Yeah, so that's a problem for him. But it's going to be that's true. I forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me. That's a good point, Tom. I'm pulling for Hayes. I didn't see a lot different from Jackson Hayes last night that I saw all of last season. I don't know that he's got the IQ to like keep up with everything. The read react aspect of his game is just not there. It's just not there. He's got all the tools. It's like watching Kwame Brown, where you're like, you have all the tools. Why aren't you good?
Yeah, he shows us on offense that he has the athleticism and the length and all of that stuff.
All of it. He's got
speed. Take the right
Here's a funny side note. Have you guys been reading
timing?
Have you guys been reading Kwame Brown dissing all these different players?
Oh yeah. It's great.
It's like Stonehands is calling people out.
Yep.
Come on, man. You can't even catch a ball.
Hey, listen. He had a great NBA career. He made a lot of money. He played many years. He was part of great teams that traded for even better players. What more could you ask for? All right, let's wrap it up here. I'll start with Michael.
Give it all up for Jesus, man. That's all I can say.
We'll start with you, Michael. Any other thoughts on the game, and what do you want to see for Sunday?
Well, this Sunday, I would like to see. As far as the game, I think I've pretty much given out everything that.
Who do we play Sunday?
Phoenix.
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 I think that it has been said that LeBron and AD will probably get some run on a Sunday. I would like to just basically see what the starting group looks like, even if it's probably going to be for 5 or 10 minutes. I just want to see them all out there, all 5 of them, and some semblance of a rotation behind them, Christie and Connect.
After 4 practices, dream on, Michael.
Reeves, just to kind of get idea. And the other thing about it is this was a new coach with a new system. So the pre-game season games that I paid the most attention to are usually the last couple.
Yep.
As opposed to the first couple. So we'll see. That's basically, I'm just interested in seeing what that starting group looks like, even though it's probably going to be just for part of a quarter.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Mr. Laker Tom, what any last thoughts on the game?
I'm hoping Michael's right. And it's just that every time I get ready to watch anybody in a preseason, right now I'm watching the Lakers in preseason, the 49ers in regular season, and the Yankees in postseason simultaneously. And I can't, every time I watch the preseason for any team that I'm rooting for, I never get to see what I want to see, which is just exactly what I'm hoping Michael is right, that we could, see half a quarter, with the starting 5 and have LeBron and AD be shining and then bench them the rest of the game. I think that'd be great. I'd like to see the lineups that are really focused on include right now the guys that we really like to see be part of the 9. Who are the candidates that he really thinks can do it? But unfortunately,
I think
this is a process, and we're going to see that in the last couple of games before the season starts. Now what we're going to see is a typical Darvin Ham substitution, and rotation.
Well, there's 20 guys in camp, and they're going to give guys run.
Yeah, they have to do that.
Yeah.
So we're going to see another preseason game, man. What can I say?
I tend to agree. I think we are going to see another preseason game. I think that's what they call it, preseason. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised.
This afternoon, I almost wore my Yankee hat.
I'm really glad you didn't, because I would have had to have been.
I was just responding to the chat question a little earlier. I'm also a UCLA Bruin football.
Oh yeah, somebody wanted to know all your sports teams. I think it was cool, bro. He wanted to know everything you're a fan of. I didn't ask that question.
I don't have a hockey team. Sorry,
nobody does. I'm just kidding. I'm sure there's hockey fans out there. Enjoy your
or a
sport.
soccer team.
Same. Oh, now you're getting now people are talking. Now talk chat at you in the
But this afternoon, it's postseason baseball.
whatever. I don't know what that's like anymore.
Yeah, I know those
As an
Angels.
Angel fan, I don't know that I'll know
They
what it's like.
God, you guys let him walk, man.
I don't want to talk about it, Tom. I might have to put you on mute right here because you insist on talking about it.
They ought to lose the other guy too, man.
I don't know. I don't know.
Great Yankee. He would be a great Yankee.
He would have been a great Angel. But whatever.
Well, he was a great Angel.
He was a great Angel.
There wasn't anybody else with him.
No, and they were smart enough to give him. They provided him the platform to be what he is now, and for that I'm sure he'll always be thankful because
what he is now. I mean, I can't believe what he's doing. I mean, he and Judge.
He's the best player in baseball that baseball will ever see. That's what he's
the best player in the history of baseball.
Anybody who wants
to judge him because he's like in a category of one.
That's what I mean. No, there's no
Babe Ruth basically. Think about
he's better than Babe Ruth.
We've gone from Babe Ruth, and we had to wait until now.
Ohtani. Yeah,
right. To get a guy who can both be a great pitcher and a great hitter.
Sean Harder wants to know if they're going to let Soto walk. I'm going to let you.
No, under no circumstances, because they know that they'll lose me as a Yankee fan after.
Oh no!
For 79 years as a Yankee fan.
Oh no! Nobody's ever said that before. All right, let's.
That's a threat. That is not a statement.
Let's bring it in. Let's bring it in. So my hope for Sunday is the same hope I had going into Friday, and that nobody gets hurt.
There you go. That's the most important one.
That's the most important thing. Nobody gets hurt. No extra injuries. People who have injuries get over their injuries. Maybe get to play. That's all I ever hope for in preseason.
It matters. Nobody on the Lakers gets hurt.
All sport. Let's just have a no injury day in sport.
All sport, but
let's just all, like whatever. Everybody who's a professional athlete have a day where they don't even have to worry about
my teams.
Anyway, point being, I hate it when athletes get hurt because it robs the fans. The only one that really hurt,
that happens every year.
It happens every year. Fans are the ones the fans are the ones who suffer the most. The person who paid $200 for tickets suddenly not to see their favorite player, they're bummed.
If you don't suffer, you can't enjoy the spoils of victory.
I also would like to see the Lakers projected starting five get 5 to 10 minutes. I'm going to switch it up. I think they'll get 5 to 10 minutes in each half. I think that you can't run. You don't want to
let them sit the whole quarter then.
Pretty much. I mean, I think we'll see. I don't know. That's a good point. I didn't think of it that way. I was thinking you want to try to ramp up and emulate what will be in games as much as possible. So I think they'll play 15 minutes. How that gets broken up remains to be seen. But I think
he hasn't announced that. Like last year, they said that LeBron was only going to play in 2 games. Has he announced anything specific like that?
They just say the same thing every time, which is the goal is for him to play in all the games and that he's a game time decision. But I think that that's going to be him all season long. That's what they did all season. Last season.
He was a game time decision for about.
That's actually illegal according to league regulations.
Yeah, he was a game time decision just about all of last season and every single game.
Everybody, some teams complained about that.
He's old.
How can he be? Yeah, right. I know.
He's very old.
That's what they tell me all the time. I complain.
I'm sure that there are a number of parts of his body that are sore, and that most players would also, say I can't.
Under the collective bargaining agreement. I forgot what the age cutoff is, but after that, you are allowed to rest a player just
because they're old. Yeah, no, it's smart because as training and everything gets more advanced, players are going to be playing into their late 30s more, and they're going to extend their prime from what used to be, I think, 31, 32 to 33, 34, 35 in some cases. And LeBron is a category of one in and of himself as well. There's never been an NBA player who's played at this high of a level for this long. It's just unprecedented. And so that's it's
about a lot of guys in this broadcast.
Huh?
You could say that about most sports, almost, really.
Pretty much. That's what I'm saying. It's because sports science is getting better and better because they're understanding more about nutrition, understanding more about rest cycles, so on and so forth. All that I think factors into it. But anyway, yeah, my main thing: nobody get hurt on Sunday. Let's just no injuries. Everybody play. Everybody learn. Everybody get better.
Just remember, it's preseason.
That's right. It's preseason. Nobody wins preseason. Nobody wins preseason. I think no. Hold on. I'm sorry. Rough artist Vince Carter played until he was the age that LeBron is. He did not have anywhere near the impact over the last 5 seasons of his career that LeBron has had. So that's not. It's
he wasn't a top 5 player.
Robert Parrish, I think, played until he was 40 as well, but I think Vince Carter beats him just because of
Vince the only one who played that 21 seasons. Is that what it is?
It doesn't matter. Like
Vince got 22 seasons.
Vince got 22. Robert Parrish got 21.
I mean, how long have they been waiting? I mean, I must have heard at least 6 or 7 years ago that Father Time is unbeaten.
I mean,
that's an effing joke, man. Think about that.
I mean, at some point, LeBron will stop playing, but I think that his commercial about beating Father Time with Jason Momoa is probably about as accurate as it's going to get. And that I think that
I kind of feel he will retire, and he probably will retire when he can buy a Vegas basketball team, because he won't be able to do that as
artist. I'm not even going to. I don't even know what you're. Okay, we're not talking about who's the top 5 player. I'm talking about level of impact. Kareem again did not have the level of impact. He would not have played as long as he played without Magic. Somebody asked about I forget who posted this comment in the chat earlier. Somebody said like the Lakers are going to carry LeBron to the playoffs on the litter. Has that ever happened in Laker history? And yes, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was carried through the regular season on a litter by Magic Johnson, James Worthy, Michael Cooper, and Byron Scott. And if you don't believe me, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying Kareem was bad, but he was a shell of what you saw in years previous, and he turned it on in the playoffs because he knew it was time for him to.
I can remember a younger Jabbar coming down the court and actually on a fast break dunking over Wilt. That was the most astonishing dunk I ever saw in my life.
Yeah,
it was like total whip over the head.
Yeah,
and right over Wilt, and that was just unbelievable.
And there's no shame in older.
He was all finesse at the end of his career when he was playing with the Lakers. He was all finesse.
There's no shame in an older player,
great finesse, by the way, but all finesse.
Yeah, well, that was Kareem. He was quiet power. But there's no shame in an older player letting the younger players carry you through the regular season to a degree. I'm not saying that like they don't play at all, but that their level of intensity is dialed back.
Then you get Anthony Davis, who thought he was joining the Lakers so that he could do that with LeBron,
Well,
LeBron hasn't allowed him to.
I don't know. We'll see. That's a whole other show, Tom.
He keeps holding that mantle up for him, saying, "Here, take this from me."
No, and AD's just not home. He's not there.
He goes to take it, and LeBron snatches it away.
I don't know if he goes to take it. Does he? Does he really?
I think he wants to take it, but
does he?
That's the problem. I don't want to insult LeBron by taking it, and at the same time,
does he? I don't think he does.
I think AD is the best number 2 in the NBA.
I agree with
that. But I think that's his role as the number 2.
Mm-hmm. Where he tops out.
Well, will we have to get another 1A to go with him?
Yeah. Luka.
Wow.
2 years.
Luka. Oh, that would be great.
That'd be great. I'd love it. He's only 25, right? It's crazy. He plays and looks like he's 30, but he's only 25, which is crazy.
Michael, I think
the only problem is if you read about his workout habits and diet and all that, he'll be at the end of his career when he's 30.
Yeah,
he's got to take his body more seriously.
But
anyway,
he and Jokic have those kinds of bodies that seem to be.
Jokic did a good job of transforming his body. Who
was the NBA player that used to smoke on the? I think it was
Vlade Divac
on the side. I think it was Vlade.
It was Vlade.
Smoke on the bench.
Not on the bench, but he'd go down the tunnel. He'd go down the tunnel, puff out, and come back and throw a perfect lob.
He should play today because now he can vape on the bench, man.
Anyway, I can see the chat is going off a bit against over LeBron and Kobe Bryant, and all of it's feel free. We have LeBron. That's who's on the team. So all of this, like, oh, who's better? I don't know. This debate is so worth my time. It is not. It's just not. It's a worthless debate. So I'm not going to engage in it, and we're not going to engage in it. In fact, we're going to say thank you for turning into Lakers Fast Break Spotlight on Lakerholics Weekend. Someday I'll get back to that. I gotta ask Gerald for what he wants to do. No, they're not going to make it, Tom. Sorry to tell you. They don't have.
We have the bet. No Houston Astros, man. We got it made.
Yeah, your kryptonite got booted.
We're right. That's true. The truth of the matter is that and we're going to steal their third baseman in the off season too.
Oh God, here's another blah blah blah. Anyway, we're not going to talk about that. I'd like to thank my guests, Yankee Tom, and Michael H. from Hawaii. I am, of course, none other than Jamie Sweet, as I can always only be. And I'd like to thank Gerald for organizing this for us, Joe for popping in on the chat for a hot minute. And everybody enjoy your weekend and have a great day. And
go Yankees.
Lakers.
Aloha.
There you go.